All right. So first things first. Haven't really watched too many of these videos that I brought up. I've probably seen only clips of them to see if I really wanted to talk on them or go over them or integrate them all into the episode and things like that. So really don't know which what much order I'm gonna put them in. I order everything out as I plan them to go, and I try to get them in a good enough order to where it kind of makes sense. But this week we're starting with something a little different. What I want to do is I want to take a whole aspect of technology and engineering and bring in what all of these places are really doing. So I'm gonna like bring in different topics and then see how it's relevant and what not of that. Like the first video is about Amazon Prime. Amazon does a lot of stuff. They're a big tech company. They do a lot of different things. So when they do something, I want to be able to cover that as well too because it's relevant to them if that makes sense. And we're going to cover stuff like that. So the first thing that we have going on is about Amazon adding ads, I believe, into their Prime services, which we've seen this before, but let's just hear what they have to say first, and then we're gonna put my thoughts on it, just so I don't assume anything. All right. So let's see.
Okay. So Amazon Prime Video, I want to ask about this. It's going to start playing ads in January unless you pay an extra $3 per month to have the ad-free version. Amazon's profits, though, nearly tripled in Q3 of this year. So what's behind this move?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, Chanel. The answer to that is streaming is reaching an apex at this moment. Um, you probably haven't subscribed to a new streaming service in a number of years, and what that translates on the business end is investors are asking, how are we going to make more money? And at the same time, Amazon, for example, is spending nearly $1 billion on single TV shows like Lord of the Rings. That's a lot of money that it needs to recoup and show investors that it's good for. The answer to that is, okay, now let's start giving people advertisements. We'll limit it, but you can expect over the years as people, as this customer acquisition reaches its culmination or its apex, that the advertisements will be the only way to give investors the returns that they're looking for from these investments.
Yeah, that makes a lot.
So from what I'm taking from this, I see we've seen a lot of streaming services do a lot of price hikes. Netflix does a lot of price hikes. They always are raising their prices and things like that, but you can also see that kind of from the quality of their shows that they're making. And like when you have Netflix, you think of like Stranger Things and a bunch of other series that they have Netflix originals. Like they had The Witcher, was kind of good, and stuff like that. There was a bunch of good original shows or movies that have been produced from these streaming services, and they're taking a way bigger like investment from just uploading old movies and things like that and getting the titles and stuff for them. Amazon, nah, I'll tell you, Amazon Prime really did their thing last year. And if you think about it, even this year, they're starting off even strong. They have a lot of good series. I can understand them needing more money and wanting to make more money and investment based on the quality of the series they came out with. This year alone, last year alone, they had Reacher, they had Invincible come out, they have The Boys, Gen V, which is a series of The Boys, Lord of the Rings, which you just heard them say it took $1 billion that they have to figure out how to record that series alone. And they have movies on top of that too. When I first got Amazon Prime for and started watching it, the only good show that was on there, I believe, was like Lucy and like I think no, it wasn't Lucy. It was called Hannah. There was a series called Hannah on there. That was a good series. And I think one other series, I'm blanking right now. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you look at what they have recently, they've been doing numbers. They really have been committing to creating shows, movies, and creating a lot of content around that space. So he's right. They need to look at a way of being like, how are we going to get more money? And we've seen Netflix just kicked old users, people who are sharing users in different households, off their accounts. And if you don't want to get kicked off as a user, you have to pay more. And for whatever reasons and things like that, because You look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to create quality content, quality shows, movies, whatever it is, and they're like, "Hey, how are we gonna make a buck? How are we gonna make more money?" And their investors are probably wondering how they're gonna end up making more money out of this. And regardless, like especially with a lot of stuff that they have coming out, upcoming shows and things, I need to even get subscribed to Netflix because I haven't in such a long time. It's almost been a year since I watched Netflix at this point, but Amazon Prime has been keeping me steady. They've been having those shows. We even see this from other series and stuff like Apple TV's been doing some good shows recently. Been watching like Monarch, that's a good show on there, and there's another one, and then you even have HBO, which they call Max now. They call it Max. They have a bunch of series and stuff on there too that they're trying to keep up with and keep budgets and everything aligned with that as well. So all of these streaming services are definitely picking up because less people are buying cable TV and they're going to be really selective. They're all going to try to come out with their own stuff. It's going to be like owning a very expansive channel every month and see what kind of and that's what they're gonna need to do to be able to keep on creating the shows that people will like watching and stuff. So that's very expected. Like good for them for finding ways to be able to get out on ahead of everything and see how that's gonna be able to go. But I mean Amazon's doing their thing. They're definitely that's why like for $3 more I forget if you have to you only need to I think you only needed to get Prime to be able to get access to Amazon Prime. Or no, that's not true. I actually had a student discount, so it was something like that. But for $3 more on top of what you're already paying for Amazon Prime and stuff like that, it for the shows that they're making, especially if you're into watching those shows and you can share them between any household, you can do all that stuff that Netflix doesn't allow you to do. I'd say it's pretty impressive as far as content wise on what they're creating and stuff. So that's only a little, but I do see in the future it's going to keep rising. It's going to go from 2.99 to possibly $5, and it's just gonna go up there from there until it reaches a certain reasonable point because that's just how things work. That's just how things are, and that's just how they're gonna have to be able to bring in more income and stuff and try to get more subscribers from it. So I do see it increasing more in the future, but for as right now, for the content that's out, it's pretty reasonable, I think, for just now. But that's about what we have for Amazon. And as I said, just taking different routes and stuff. I want to be able to talk about things like this and like shows and things. There's technology and engineering that goes into making shows, music, entertainment. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about with between everything around the board that some people may not be talking about that are inside the same niche. So that's the starters for